to say
he's done it all.
Everything.
That was it.
Everything. He's done everything. He scored a lot of assists.
The only thing that can cap off his career coming this tonight.
So why is it that when I watch the Wild Odom, do I feel like he's the best player? Every time I watch the Wild Odom play, I feel like I'm seeing something special. Like I'm seeing something that I'm not gonna maybe not see again. Said it for a long time. DJ Buffer was my favorite high school player in Georgia. I don't get that feeling that I'm seeing something I'll never see again. It's the Love the Game podcast. We in the building. You know what time it is. Y'all already know what we came to do. We here to bring back the vibe. We here to restore that feeling. We here to bring back the city. There are no suckers in our circle. We try to tell y'all that every week. We try to tell you that every week. You're going to have to stop. Y'all going to have to understand that every time that we go on the air, it is prime time. Lock it in. Tell the wife, man, I can't do that. What you asked me right now, because Love of the Game podcast just fired up. Go on, get in trouble, dog. It's worth it.
Hey man, you trying to end some marriages, bro? I ain't with that. I ain't that. No, I don't need that on my resume.
Hey, you don't want that on your jacket, Lock?
No. Y'all already keep spreading rumors about me. Going out
that wasn't me. That was tough.
Whoa.
Allegedly. Hey, y'all know what time it is.
Well, hey, but on that note though, it ain't nothing like stadium. It ain't nothing like park. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get into that right now. But my God,
Here we go.
Here we go. Bryce had back-to-back episodes. He can get his stuff off. Morehouse on Sunday. The DMV with Howard in the building tonight. He can get his stuff off now.
I already knew Bryce was gonna be.
I just had to throw that in there, man. Just real quick. Y'all passed the shot clock. Shit, WCAC been had the shot clock.
Oh, we gonna get into that shot clock.
I'm done.
I knew Bryce was gonna change up the location. I knew wasn't gonna be no Wi-Fi problems. We got somebody from DC on here, Bryce. Everything was gonna go smooth for Bryce today.
Gotta keep it 100, man.
Hey, Bryce probably pulled out the cement floors and everything for this show.
Nah, I ain't got no J's. I got just like some little like daybreak.
Some light.
They call yeah.
Yeah, Bryce, you outside? I see.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is working better outside than it do inside.
Hey, here we go, man. Let's get it. 805 Pride in the building. What's going on, Huff?
Oh, what's good, man? Glad to be here. Let's get it rolling. We got a lot to talk about.
Yes, indeed. Hey, man. The hottest AAU coach in the city, B. Will. What's good?
Whoa! It's a new year. Don't gas me up like that, because we got some on Saturday, boy. I don't need
going down Saturday.
Oh boy, don't need. It's a new year. 2019 was good, but
hey, green means go. Green means go,
hey,
Bryce.
Hey, they threw me right in the fire. We got Kwesi. You know what I'm saying? They got a whole team, Georgia.
Hey, that's a problem. I hope y'all ready.
I'm not playing.
Wait 30.
He might. Yeah.
They got a good team.
Freshman, you in the building. Locksway, what up, Way?
Yo, Locksway is the only way. What's good, man?
Hey, man, listen. Our guest of honor in the building, here to set it straight. We have the head coach. Hey, man, y'all got to understand how much we don't play around when we do this. We went Morehouse, Howard back to back, dog. Crown us. Crown us. Hey, man, we got Coach Kenneth Blakeney in here. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing terrific, fellas. I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on and chat with y'all today, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And you got them already shouting about how we're homecoming. We've been having this homecoming debate and conversation for a few weeks now. How we're homecoming will change your life. Big Dave say, okay.
It will. He's right.
I will agree. It's got to be at least top 5, maybe top 3. You know.
Nah, it might be. It's Morehouse and Howard right there.
Okay, all right, I'll take that.
Oh, I was about to say because Bryce was talking a little different last week when Coach Brewer was on the show. And that Morehouse homecoming came up. Bryce's eyes lit up and everything. It was like, are we going to whose homecoming are we going to, fellas? We've committed to one homecoming.
I don't think we're going anybody's homecoming this year.
I know, right?
That's a good point.
And just canceled their homecoming.
I think that's over with, man.
Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
We might just have to gather at somebody's lounge or something for a day and call it homecoming. I don't know. Not looking good.
They knew I was gonna go this year. That's what it is. That's
we was gonna have to get the tailgate on Saturday without, fresh, get you ready to go.
Offline, Bryce. We'll talk about it offline.
Right.
Hey, Coach. So you come here. You came to Howard with a lot of experience, man. Like your resume is incredible, right? Like you played for Morgan Wooten. Like you went to Duke and played for Coach K. McDonald's. Man, like come on, man. Like there was nothing. You've been successful at every level of the game. But I gotta ask, Coach. I know was it the hometown calling you to Howard? Was it something else that maybe just isn't sticking out as obvious to us?
Well, thank you for the kind words, and like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on today. I think 10 years ago, I was an assistant coach at Harvard. I get Howard and Harvard confused because we're considered the black Harvard of higher education, HBCU education. But I was working at Harvard, and Tommy Amaker asked me, would I be interested in Howard? And I was just like, I said, TA, like, man, I grew up 2 or 3 miles away from the campus. I drove by it every day, played baseball right across the street. I'd gone to numerous events, as you guys have mentioned, homecoming, fashion shows, different things, extracurricular activities that have occur on the campus. And the one thing I told him, I said, man, I Howard's an unbelievable school, but I don't know if they're serious about athletics. Growing up being a Washingtonian, I've never seen them invest or put the effort and energy into developing its infrastructure. And fast forward 10 years later, kind of seeing what Tommy has done at Harvard. I started a business shortly after my time at Harvard that is basically a marketing company. I worked for Under Armour in the global basketball marketing office. I got to understand about brands and got to understand about marketing. And, I thought that if I could have a chance to get the job at Howard, that I could potentially do some of the wonderful things that Coach Tommy Amaker has done at Harvard. The greatest resource that they gave him at Harvard was the name, the brand Harvard. When we got there, the furniture was, we said it was like Good Times furniture. It had holes in it. It was mismatched. It was seriously from the 70s. The office furniture was the same. And he's turned that thing around there with utilizing that brand to build a brand new facility that's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The offices, everything like that. So that's kind of been my inspiration and my kind of vision for the program at Howard, is to utilize the brand, build it from the inside out, and grow and develop it.
Wow, that's incredible, Coach. That's not what I thought we were gonna get, but that's amazing. Coach, I want to understand that when we talk about universities that are not necessarily invested, like we basketball guys, man. So for us, I feel like we almost consider it to be an automatic thing. Like, of course you guys love basketball. Of course you're going to invest in it. But just like you brought up, that's not always the case. What are some of the things that you walked in with and wanted to try to push to get change right away to start building that type of momentum? Well,
I think when I walked in, it was just like I was, I was like a new kid on the block. And I really felt that way probably until a couple months ago. I had no idea. And, it wasn't like there was the infrastructure was developed and built there. It was like, okay, here's some clay. Take this clay and develop it as you like and as you see fit, and grow and build the program. So my first couple months, I was driving around to New York, alums in DC, wherever I had to go, wherever I had to be, to kind of shake hands and develop those relationships, so we can start talking about potentially building this program from a program that kind of competes from year in and year out, right? But doesn't really get over the hump. We've only had, I think, 2 or 3 winning seasons in the last 30 years. And the infrastructure that, hasn't changed. So it was I literally got in my car. I would go up to Wall Street every week. I would meet with different people to see if we could raise money to start developing, the infrastructure so we can compete and have a sustainable basketball program. And that's, our locker rooms, that's our practice gym, that's our offices. None of those things have been touched in a while. So when we have young men on campus and parents and families on campus, I want them to see that their son doesn't have to compromise anything by attending Howard, and that Howard has such an incredible tradition and history that we do things athletically to the standards of Howard University also.
Awesome. Coach, when you talk about having some kids on campus, you guys made some noise this year about having some big name guys on campus for official visits. I know those guys have not signed, so can't discuss those players specifically, but with this movement of guys considering HBCUs and that becoming kind of the thing, what have the tone of the conversations in recruitment, have you seen that translate and change as of yet?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. And I think, the guys that kind of stepped up and were the first ones, one young man, Josh Christopher, I can mention his name because he is signed with Arizona State. The second gentleman, I can't mention his name because we're still recruiting him. So we'll see how it goes over the next couple months or whatever. But it was for us, it was definitely something that I think gave us some visibility and also a little bit more probably credibility in the basketball world that, those things could be possibly that they could be possible and that they can happen at Howard University. To bring, 2 top 10 kids in, they came to homecoming, just FYI. So, but to bring those young men to homecoming and to show them, the Howard community, the Howard experience, the culture around our university, for them to see so many leaders and influencers that have attended Howard, that is priceless. And, so it's I think it was something that kind of started it. I think the latest kind of social issues that we're having in our country right now has ignited it. And you see more and more young men that are 4- and 5-star young men thinking and considering the option of attending an HBCU. And we as CU coaches, I think, would be tickled to death as one of us could get a young man to land on our campus that's a 4- or 5-star young man. I'll take it even a step further. One of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to partner with our athletic director, Carrie Davis, and with our president, Dr. Wayne Frederick. And if we're able to land one of these young men, it changes not only our basketball program, but it changes our campus, it changes our university. If we're able to do that, we're probably going to have a little bit more success. If we can make it to the NCAA tournament we have 8 million eyes on us that first round game. What that does is that brings so much more visibility to our university. You have more students applying. You have higher GPA and higher SATs now applying, which for the U.S. News World get more corporate sponsors. You have more donors that are now more vested into university, so they're looking to donate more. So it is also a huge move, and they can change the whole face of what a university looks like, which is so important to me, because giving back to our community, educating young men and women is so important to what I believe in as an educator and as a coach.
I think Howard is one of the perfect places to go and get it done, Coach. I really do. You've been at multiple levels of Division I basketball, a lot of high major basketball. Is there anything outside of the amenities, right? We all talk about the facilities difference at a lot of HBCUs versus a Power 5, but is there anything else that a young man may be missing out on possibly? Because I think outside of facilities, I think it's a little closer than most people may think, but I would love to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that, we have a top 100 school. Last year in the U.S. News World Report, I think we were in the 80s in terms of our university rank. I think maybe the only HBCU in front of us was Spelman. So in terms of the academics, no one's going to compromise that. In terms of our coaching and I think our staff, I went out and I did something that was a little probably unpredictable first, especially for a first-year head coach. I hired 3 guys that have never been full-time on the road recruiting experienced assistant coaches. I got Tyler Thornton, who's a Washington, D.C. DMV guy. He played his high school ball at Gonzaga, then played his college ball at Duke University. Eric Atkins, who is from Columbia, Maryland, played his high school basketball at Mount St. Joe's and played his college ball at Notre Dame. Both of those guys, when I hired them, were 27 years old with no coaching experience. I brought Jake Brown with me from Columbia. Jake played his college ball at Middlebury and did his graduate work at Columbia. Jake was 24 when I brought him in. He might have been the youngest Division I head coach at the time that we brought him in. So I wanted to have guys that had probably done the things that these guys can want to do, right? But also I wanted to have guys that I thought were great mentors and people that when we went to a home and did a home visit, that the parents could say, well, I feel comfortable with these young men mentoring my son. And I could see for the student athlete to look at it and say, like, I would love to have these guys, I'd love to be like these guys. I'd love for these guys to coach me. So when I was putting this together, I really tried to look at, an outside the box kind of model to build and grow and develop this thing. So I don't think there's anything we have to compromise. Certainly this, ancillary things with facilities and things like that can certainly improve, and we're working very diligently and hard on that to change. But the other part of the student athlete's experience, I think they're for their experience at Howard, nothing would be compromised.
Well, Coach, if we talk about those amenities, you've got a plan for that. All those trips to Wall Street look like they helped with the new things y'all got planned: a new locker room, practice facility, offices. What's the timetable on that? As I think that will help, with what you're trying to do in building that program.
Yeah. Well, we were on pace to try to do it at the end of the summer, but unfortunately, COVID has kind of stymied those plans a little bit. So we think we can start at the end of our season of the 2020 21 season and begin groundbreaking and moving all the things that we need to do. If there's a way to do it sooner than that, we would love to take a look at it, but we won't be able to try to really get it going, I think, until the end of the season for 21. But with that, yeah, we have new locker rooms, a practice facility that we're going to build that's in the current rec room space, and also our offices are going to get renovated. And we're still trying to raise money and continue to develop the things that we think can position us to have those kind of guys to come. So the second phase of the project would start to be working on Burr Gymnasium to get that up to a point where I think we're not compromising anything there. I love Burr Gymnasium. It reminds me a little bit of a Cameron Indoor Stadium, or for older guys that are be tuning in, U-Hall that was at University of Virginia before they got the that new shiny spot that they have now.
Coach, we're going to take a couple of questions. We got a few questions here in our live chat and our audience. The first one is, what is your philosophy in recruiting? Are there specific regions you target, or are there regions that are off limits? Do you recruit the state of Georgia, and what type of or caliber players do you target?
Yeah, great question. I appreciate it, Mr. Reeves. The question. I think one of the things that I wanted to establish is that I wanted to, when I got the job at Howard, we had one player from the DMV, and one of the things I knew is that the DMV area has more Division I players and more MBAs in the last 15 years than any other area in the country, and that was really important. And that goes back, I think, to some of the great coaches that have been in here, from a Morgan Wooten to a Stu Vetter, to a Red Jenkins, to some of the inner high coaches that have coached the DC Public League. And, those guys have offsprings now that are carrying their legacy and continuing to do unbelievable jobs with teaching the game from a fundamental point of view up. So it was really important for me to get young men that knew how to play. If you have guys on your team that understand and have a feel and know how to play, it really alleviates and kind of speeds up your growth and development with your team. So that was first and foremost the most important thing. We had a year, and I can share this with you guys, after the first probably 2 or 3 games, our staff would have a running joke and probably a running bet that when can we have a timeout? And when in our timeouts, I huddle with our coaches before I go in and talk to our guys. And typically during those huddles, the thing that I started to talk about after the second or third game was we need some players. So, during the games, I'm talking to our coaches in huddles about recruiting. I'm not talking game strategy. I'm not talking about any of those things. So they were like, if we can get below the 12-minute mark, we think that we're playing pretty good if you haven't brought up recruiting. And so that was kind of the goal, to get to the 12-minute mark without talking about recruiting in the huddles during timeouts. But, I love, one of the things that we talked about, and I will talk about this in the huddle, is that first and foremost, I want kids to have great character. And that's really important, especially being at Howard University. Like I said, it's one of the most prestigious HBCUs and institutions in the country. And, we want the right kind of young men representing our basketball program and our university first and foremost. The second thing that I loved or talked about was guys that have a feel for the game. Are they fundamentally sound? Can they dribble, pass, and shoot? Was really important also. And then the last thing that I wanted our guys to have is a certain amount of toughness. You can be, you don't have to be the most talented player in the world, but if you are tough and you compete and you bring passion and energy every day, that's just that I think it's sometimes more important than just having a pure talent or pure upside. So those are kind of the things that we talked about. And in terms of recruiting outside of our area, yeah, we have a national brand, and so we want to recruit nationally. But it was just more important to, I think, understanding the DNA in Washington D.C. of the players. We know their high school coaches, their A coaches. For the most part, we may even know their mom or dad or brother or sister or cousins or something like that. To know who those young men are and come from was really important. But we are now understanding that we have more alums in California than we want to pursue Atlanta. We want to get down to Georgia. We want to do North Carolina because there's so many places that our brand, I think, really resonates with, that we don't want to short. We don't want to not look at a place and not find a young man that could be a great asset to our program.
So, Coach, how much you spoke on that the DC culture? How much of that are you guys maintaining in the locker room? Are you guys playing go-go? Are you? I mean, the kids eating. They going to PG Plaza. Like what is it? What is it that these kids are doing in your locker room?
Well, right now with this team, we'll have 10 young men on our team from the DMV. Which is, that's a
Wow,
huge number.
that's good.
When I took over the job a year ago, we had 1.
Yeah.
So this year we'll have 10. I don't think these young men even understand or know what PG Plaza is. The significance of the DC area, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
I have to introduce some of them to Chicken and Mambo. They definitely don't even listen to go-go music. So we have to really integrate them in the culture, and no better place to do that right on Georgia Avenue and at Howard University.
Yes, sir.
Bryce, if I don't get no mumbo sauce, dog,
Look, man, that's what we're gonna do. We going when all the coronavirus stuff is over with, we gonna take a trip to DC. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go to U Street. We're gonna go to Park. We're gonna go wherever you want to go, man. We're gonna just get a whole tour of the
Bryce,
city.
I feel like you should know how to make it.
What you mean?
Why can't you make mumbo sauce?
Nah, I can't make it. I can get you something kind of taste like it. But I can't make it. We can go down. We can go down to the food court at Cumberland Park. I can probably find you something that's close to it.
Bryce, we ain't got no place in Atlanta that's close that we can.
Nah, it tastes. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, but it has like a sweet and sour kind of taste. But it's not. I mean, you probably got to go to a carryout like a Chinese food place or something like that. And they might have something close to it, but you ain't gonna get it.
We got to go get the authentic, man. Bryce,
I think you're gonna love it. I think Locke will love. I think Locke will tear it up too. Can't lie.
Oh, really? Got to bring me something, man.
Seafood food, crab cakes. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know.
Hey, Coach. So we're talking about the culture that you guys were able to are starting to build there at Howard. We got a little film that I want to show of what next year may look like a little bit. So I'd like to show some of these highlights, man, and have you kind of discuss what each of these young men are going to bring to the table. Now, I believe all these young men are signed, so it should be good. We shouldn't have no issues, man. But I want people to get a little feel for what Howard may look like next year. Let's do this. It's really impressive, young man.
No
Coach.
doubt.
This kid can play.
Marja been doing his homework today. Damn.
Jordan Woods really 6'11", Coach.
Yeah, Jordan Wood is a young kid that is out of San Antonio, Texas. We were able to beat out
I think we lost you a little bit there, Coach.
We got disconnected.
You might have to come back in, though.
Hey, I'm gonna run this back. This kid,
I say, can you play that again?
bro, this kid,
Hey, man, 6'11", shoot it like that?
6'11", dude. Look how fluid he's moving, bro.
How did they find him? Like I never even heard of him before.
Look how fluid that is.
That look like dirt. That look like dirt shot right there.
He is a forward.
Yeah, that's nasty. He's stepping out
coming off that,
and he's going to have a career. Oh my goodness,
this kid can play.
Damn.
Yeah, he can play.
That kid can play.
Can you tell us about Jordan Wood one more time?
Well, I think you're being a good girl now. I know. She is being a good girl.
Do you hear me, Coach?
I can hear a little bit. I broke off for 1 second. I lost you guys, but I think I'm back now.
Okay, we were still drooling over Jordan Wood, over Jordan Wood's highlight film, Coach. What type of player do you feel like or impact he's going to make next year?
I think Jordan, for us, Jordan is a guy that can do a number of different things. You know, at 6'11", he's so skilled. He can play the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 for us. The thing that I really liked about Jordan, and the reason I wanted to have him in our program, is because he's a guy that can really pass the ball well. And for us, you know, we need guys that, you know, we have some guys that can really shoot the ball. We were one of the top 100 3-point shooting teams in the country last year. And, you know, we needed guys that we don't have a lot of guys that can really put it on the floor and try to break guys down. So within our offense, we need guys to be able to share the ball, guys to be able to create shots for one another. And Jordan does that for our team at the height of 6'11".
That's tough. That's going to be really hard to guard.
Yeah, he's nice.
That is tough. I like this kid too, Coach. The Sam Green kid. Really powerful.
Good stroke.
I see you guys focused a lot on guys that can really shoot the basketball.
Yes. Sam's out of DC. He's one of the DMV guys we brought in. Sam's about. Yes. Yeah. It was very important for us to have a mature, I think, guy that can bring in some leadership. He's been in winning programs. He comes from a winning culture in high school, AAU, and also in college. But he fits the philosophy of how we want to play. A guy that can really shoot the ball. He can stretch out the defense. He has some toughness, and he's a great locker room guy.
Coach, we got guys in the comments.
Coach, what high school did you go to?
Already.
Bryce, you might have said it one more time, Bryce.
Wow.
I said, Coach, what high school did he go to? The last kid. Did it say on there? You might not be able to hear me.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. So sorry.
Oh, you're good. I was asking what high school did the last player went to from Forestville. Is it me? Mondre? Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Coach, I think we got a lag. Can you hear us okay?
Coach might have to come back in again.
Yeah, it's breaking up on the words, so I'm not hearing everything. My apologies.
No worries, Coach. We are you? Hold on, I'm gonna drop one and have them come back. Let's see. Testing, Coach. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine.
Awesome. Coach, we were looking at some of these kids, the type of experience that you're bringing in. and the skill level and the ability that you're bringing in, how is the excitement level around campus? Do guys know what's going to happen next year yet, or is it still kind of a wait and see type of feel?
That's a good question. And you know, I know some of you guys are you guys Morehouse men, or just some of you guys are Morehouse men?
Just Bryce.
Yeah. Well, the expectations of the expectations of the Howard alum are very high. I think some of our alums think we should be playing in a national championship game every year, and if we don't, I think they're very disappointed. So there's going to be a certain amount of expectations for us. But what we have to understand is that, you know, our program's been around since the 50s, and there hasn't been that winning culture, that winning tradition. It's not something that just happens overnight. Um, you know, you guys understand the culture, and we talked about homecoming and all those other things. Like, Howard can be a place that can be very comfortable for young men. You know, in terms of, like, you know, it's a school that probably is like 15-1 girls to guys. You know, DC is a very happening city. And so part of the things that we talked about with recruiting is that character piece. Like, we need young men that are basketball junk, young men that are gym rats, young men that are committed to the game and want to see them themselves reach the maximum potential that they can. So we think we were able to identify those young men this year and bring them in our program. So the expectations, are high, but we have to be a little realistic also and just understand that, you know, it's the last two NCAA tournament teams from Howard, and only two NCAA teams are from 1992 and 1982. So it, you know, and like I said, there might have been one or two seasons since 1992. So we're building the culture, we're building the tradition, and hopefully our fans will give us a little time before they put us in, you know, in the Final Four, whatever.
Coach, last question. You've been around a lot of winning, and winning is always fun. But what's the most fun that you've had playing basketball? Is it 91 Duke, 92 Duke, high school, Harvard? What's the most fun that you've had being around the game?
That's a beautiful question, man. You know, I think there's no more fun. Like, the funnest time that I've ever had playing competitive sports, be it basketball, football, baseball, is winning on the road. Like, no better feeling than ruining on the road. It's kind of go to some else, the fridge, you eat the chicken, you eat all.
I think you break it up a little bit there, Coach.
And then
Hey, Bryce, you swapped out your ride with Coach.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
It must be a DC connection like that. We must got bad Wi-Fi or something. I don't know.
Our DC guys need some bandwidth or some shit.
Listen, we'll take a field trip up there one time, man. We're gonna hit the museums. We're gonna do some educational stuff. We're gonna hit the African American Museum. I've already gone once. Fantastic place. But then, you know, we're gonna get out. We're gonna get out. And hopefully we can go to a Howard game. Hopefully.
Man, is Rose Bar still open up there?
I don't know.
Oh, Coach Rose Bar still open?
That was a Wednesday night thing, I think. I don't know if it's still open.
Hey, Coach, can you hear us okay?
This thing. Yeah, it's.
Hey, Coach, we'll schedule a time to check in with you. Huff, if you could text Coach and let him know. We'll schedule a time to check in with you again, Coach. Love you guys, man. Wishing you the best for next season. Expecting big things for Howard next year.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Man,
Hey, Howard got them a CEO, Coach.
I was gonna say he went straight to Wall Street.
We talk about that. You know, that's the new thing, right? Universities saying they want a CEO.
University's moving the goalposts. We don't need you to be a recruiter. We need you to be a coach. Then we show them we can coach, and now they say you got to be a CEO. I think Coach kind of showed you right there. He can be a CEO. We can be a CEO.
For sure. He definitely has a CEO's mind, like a business mind for the game. Like he understands. When I hear a person immediately, the first thing they start talking about is infrastructure. I know that they know how to build something. Like when I hear people talk about ancillary parts, flashy stuff, all this other kind of stuff, I know they ain't never built shit before.
and you know what I was thinking about when we were talking to him about the places he had been. You know, anytime you're hiring somebody, you got to know why you're hiring them. So let's think about it. He's from the DMV. Check mark. I got to hire that. Well, he's coached at Duke, played at Duke, coached at Duke, Harvard, Columbia. I think that kind of fits of what Howard's trying to be. So he got all the check marks, you know. It's not like, you know, and then he did it his way. Let me bring in guys that I believe in, that are from the area, that are young, that I believe can go get it done.
Also got the relationship with Under Armour, worked as a digital marketing guy for Under Armour. Like he, you know, like you're talking about somebody that's been successful over and over and over again. And when you're successful that many times at that, you know, many different things, like I think it's kind of clear that like they got their guy. Like he knows how to build stuff. And that may be an underrated thing, but I think it's important.
I agree with what Coach Lewis said down there. HBCU coaches need to be involved with alumni fundraising. So it is kind of similar to what Coach Walker did when he was at CAU.
For sure. You got to know how to get to the money, man. Like it's not going to, you know, things that I'm seeing from guys that are getting their first opportunity to be a head coach. People think that a whole lot of stuff is given to you. And that's the misconception that I'm seeing get wiped off the map with this stuff. Like you got to understand how to get things accomplished without really even having resources to do it. There's some ingenuity, some entrepreneurship that goes in with being a head coach, not just about the X's and O's, which those are important too. But damn, they got some dudes coming in next year, man.
You might let that video ride one more time.
I will bring it back. I do want to talk about this before we get there, though. The thoughts on Bethune-Cookman leaving the MEAC for the SWAC. The MEAC is hurting.
They're hurting bad, man.
You lose Hampton. You're losing A&T. You're losing
FAMU. You're losing FAMU.
FAMU been there for a minute.
They all. I mean, they a lot of those guys have been there for a minute. It's just that travel is. I mean, you're going from Norfolk, Howard, Delaware, all the way down to Florida. I mean,
yeah, that don't make much sense.
And we talk about budgets of HBCUs. You potentially are killing that budget, you know, not to mention everybody, you know, whether it's good or bad, whatever your thoughts are, everybody plays in the conference tournament. So you go play one game and lose. I've done a budget at the college level. That could be $5,000 depending on how far you got to go in one game.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things that I would like to see changed when it comes to supporting HBCUs. Like, we have to get some of these guys you know, maybe some of these NBA guys that have media companies to push for these HBCUs to get a better TV deal because, you know, at other conferences, this could get some of that cost could be alleviated by profit sharing within the conference. And I don't know what the profit sharing numbers look like in the MEAC, but by all those exits, it doesn't sound like it's very good. If it exists at all, I don't know.
Right.
But I think, and it's what we talk about when having players will change the game, because if you have players, that TV deal is a lot more attractive. I love to see that happen. But man, I'm worried about the MEAC right now. I mean, right now,
How many teams they down to?
I think that brings them down to 10 teams. But everybody, so these guys aren't leaving next year. So A&T will still be there next year. But at that point, for basketball, it's gonna be Central.
Mm-hmm.
Howard's gonna be improved. Norfolk State is still there.
I mean, Norfolk just got a big time commitment. They from a 4-star kid.
Really?
Yeah.
I forgot his name, but I saw that.
It's going to be tough, man. They're going to need some people to step up. They need Howard. The conference needs Howard to be good.
The proposal for, I think it already kind of started, but the schedule for the MLK holiday where the PWIs play the HBCUs, how does that? Well, how would that affect their financial aspect of it?
To me, it can only work if you're truly going to, at least my thoughts. Are you going to give them that check, number one, that they usually give them to play? Are they going to get all those proceeds, whatever else comes from playing that game? I think everything has to go to that HBCU, in regards to surrounding that game. Now, I know we didn't get a chance to talk to him about it based off his Wi-Fi, but Howard's already done that. They've got somebody coming to play them at Howard on MLK.
Notre Dame, right?
Notre Dame played on MLK. They're going to play the game on Martin Luther King Day, of course. But he's got, Coach Blakeney has that relationship with Bray already at Notre Dame. So that was kind of a no-brainer event. I would like to see that become a thing. Like I would like to see, Duke play Central, A&T play North Carolina. Like I would love to see those type of games take place on college campuses across the country. I think that would be important.
It'd be fun to watch too. Something different.
I would like to see it. Says we got for the 21-22 season, which is next season, it'll be 8 for basketball, 6 for football. That's tough.
That's real tough.
That's tough.
I mean, but you think about those 2 Florida schools leaving, FAM and Bethune, they almost had to. I mean, that them traveling that far, and once FAM left, it left Bethune at least a 5-hour drive to get to the next place they had to play in the MEAC.
Yep. I agree with all those comments. We got to play those games at the HBCU's place or play at home. I think home and homes will be great. That's kind of what's happening with Howard and Notre Dame. Man,
there was so much stuff I wanted to get to. Got to start that Morehouse Howard game back. Got to get that guy.
That Morehouse Howard, they never did basketball. It was just football.
No. Yes, they did. And Morehouse beat them twice back in the day.
Oh, but I mean, what year was that though?
Early 2000s. You might have been there.
They did the Nations Classic for football. That was like 2010. Yeah, which was good. Like that was. I even went to one of them. I think it was at RFK.
Yep, it was at RFK Stadium in DC.
Yeah, hey, that joint was popping.
It was good, bro.
Hey, that joint was good.
Hey, that was a weekend right there now.
Yeah. That's a perfect weekend for a love of the game to pull up. You know what I'm saying? You get a whole weekend experience. But yeah, that they do need to bring that back. That was fun. I'd like to see it for basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
I would too. We gotta, but it's gonna be on us. The TV's got to be turned on. They got to get viewers. We got to watch. We got to support or show up in person. to make it all work. I think it's going to be everybody taking part of it for it to work. We all got to participate because if we don't watch, if the TVs aren't on, then that'll be used as a I can't say necessarily excuse, because if we don't watch, then that's a reason to not do it again. We got to do our part and come out and support those games. But I definitely would love to see them happen.
One thing I liked about what he said was his roster went from 1 kid locally to 10 DMV kids, and I think that's something that a lot of schools need to, especially like an HBCU. A lot of kids need to do that because there's enough talent that you can get in your region and you can go win and compete at a high level. So I think that was amazing thing that he's been able to do at Howard already.
Sounds very similar to Kennesaw State, huh?
It does. I was actually going to say
Hey,
he got out. He said he got out, and you just get out. You get recruit. Shake some hands.
Said it before, I say it again. I love the staff at Georgia. Shout out to the big homie over at UGA, Dollar Bill. I love the coaching staff at Georgia State. Coach Lanier is high character, high class. Like, that dude is a coach's coach.
They got Georgia kids at Georgia State now.
Yeah. No, I ain't talking about that. To me, Amir is one of the best basketball leaders that we have at the college level in the state to me.
Georgia, we are very fortunate that at every level of basketball, we have good people. We have good coaching.
We do.
I agree.
We're spoiled when it comes to that, man.
From JUCO, you know what I mean? Like
we do.
Even high schools, prep schools. We have some good prep schools.
NAIA.
Coaches, bro. Bryce, I'll piggyback on that. One of the things Coach Lanier said is coming into this state, how connected everybody is. Coaches of all levels in the state. He said he was in a lot of different places, Texas, New York, other places, and they're not as connected. There's no shot at them. He's just saying how all connected we are.
I think we've come to the conclusion or the realization that we are in it for the right reasons. And, especially if you're coaching on the AAU circuit, you want to win, but, the ultimate goal is to try to get your kids exposure. And so along the way, you start to build these relationships with other coaches. You know what I mean? It's like, we want to win, but at the end of the day, like, we're trying to send kids to the next level, get and develop them and get them better, and hopefully get them to the league or making money. Getting education.
I'll just take them getting their education paid for. It's Corey Black. They're debt-free.
Debt-free for sure. I think we're all spoiled with that, man. This is a good point with Bethune-Cookman and FAMU being a package deal. I got to get used to reading these because there are people on SoundCloud who be listening to us while we're watching stuff, and they probably think that it's horrible. But they should join us on YouTube. So if you're listening to SoundCloud right now, join us on YouTube, man. It's a great experience. But Bethune-Cookman FAMU being a package deal, I think it makes sense from a travel standpoint. Coach, I want to know what we can do to get a deal and start putting these games for HBCUs on SUV TV. We'll get views. We will get views.
That will blow up. It will blow up.
It would.
There are live streams right now.
That would change the game.
That would be the best thing for basketball, for HBCU basketball, or just HBCU athletics in general, is to have SUV TV covering these events. Like,
I'm gonna say this, man, and hey, listen, look. I watch a lot of the live streams for HBCUs now. I'm gonna support, but using SUV TV, the numbers are gonna improve. The quality of the broadcast is gonna be better. Maybe a conference deal. Let's save the MEAC.
Start with one conference. Maybe it's the MEAC. I don't know if it should be the SWAC, but maybe it's the MEAC. I feel like that's a good spot to start with SUV TV. Tell me who I gotta yell at. Who do I need to word a strongly worded email to? I'll have Huff write it, and then I'll send it out. Huff, what was your major? English?
It was English, brother.
That was pretty hard at Morehouse. How'd you do that?
Man, it was pretty difficult, man.
I mean, every major at Morehouse is hard though, so that's
it is. But that Shakespeare class is real hard.
I would take, yeah. If I was taking Shakespeare, I would have been on Google looking up the translation like I did in high school.
I still remember
I
the red
start
mark on
with
that paper.
one school.
Huh?
I still remember the red marks on that paper. Oh, there you go, Andre. You got a sports information department partner.
MEAG Sports Information Department. We're gonna holler.
Could you imagine if Love of the Game pulled up like we normally do, and you got televised? We at Howard, you know what I mean? We
sure you gotta get a haircut now.
Hey, ho, we going on we'll talk offline. I'll be together.
I'll be together.
I'm sorry. I want to run these Howard highlights back for what they got incoming real quick.
Yeah, run those.
We got to, man. That's some fire right there.
That first guy, like, that had to be a gem. They went and found that dude.
Hey, bro.
And got him. That's big time.
I want to show it again because, too, the other thing is people got to stop sending. We got to send our best now. Like, there's no excuse. You watch this kid, and he's going to Howard, bro. Most high schools don't have this level of a kid.
So he kind of looks like he has a little bit more perimeter game into him, but he kind of looks like Walker Kessler a little bit. But I mean, like I said, he has a little bit more perimeter game. But I mean, the kids,
man, he's shooting that thing. That's fluid too, bro.
He's gonna have a good time at Howard.
He's gonna enjoy himself, man.
Yeah, he's gonna be fun. He's gonna have a great time.
Then to go get a transfer kid, that's good too now.
I think so. This is not a little guy though, man. Like this kid,
you can tell he's got it.
Yeah, 235, 240. Like he's not a little dude.
He played in the CAA. You know, that's a tough league, man.
Dude,
tough.
Oh man, hey man, it's some Townsend coaches I ain't heard from about in a year.
Uh-oh.
Call that name. About a year and a half ago, they was blowing my phone up.
I think they was blowing mine up too.
They got a dude from Iran. This dude is 6'9". Doing chin-ups on the rim.
Oh man, they gonna turn him out at Howard.
Hey, it's some coach that hasn't seen this that's trying to send Howard like their seventh man or something like that.
Right, exactly.
They just showed 3 dudes right here that's gonna get it done. Those 3 dudes gonna get it done already. I can tell.
Man,
that's why coach is looking at you crazy. They're not answering your phone call.
And
you're trying to send him a 5'7" guard.
Oh boy.
Oh.
He just went around that.
Here's the other point you're talking about, Mondre. People are trying to send them their 7th guy. They never watched the game in the league. They never watched the game in that league to know if they could play.
Right. They are definitely upgrading the talent level quickly.
Now, this kid was on the team. He was a rookie of the year. Wow.
Oh yeah, he's bouncy.
Shot 40% from 3, 50% from 2, 80% from the free throw line. I hope some players are looking at that.
Kid can light it up.
Yeah.
He's doing that in college, bro.
On A&T?
As a freshman, true freshman.
Hey, look at the crowd. Go back.
I know you might get a crowd here too now. Look at that crowd.
No, not that one. That's Central. That's nice. But that, oh.
Yeah, that's nice. They deep.
Oh no, that Central crowd nice.
He's gonna say Central. That's nice. Like Central wasn't at the top of the league.
No, I was talking about the crowd, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this kid too.
Hey man, Munger, I see you working, man. I see the Love of the Game logo in the right-hand corner.
I didn't even notice.
I'm not gonna tell you how long that's been there either, Locke.
It's been there a minute, Locke. Come on.
Oh,
yeah, that's been there for a while since the Last Dance situations. Good. That was a nice play. Good entry pass.
Hey, bro. Hey, man, they got some dudes.
Man,
He got
They
another
got some, yeah, we ended the highlight before another 6'10" dude showed up. Like, bro, we got to cut that out. Like, we can't look at an HBCU and be like, man, he elite. You know, can't do that, man. Got to send them real kids.
He's definitely going to turn that program around soon.
No, that's legit. That's a real statement.
Hey, so yeah, the Atlanta Celtics. Dave is saying Atlanta Celtics Twitter post this morning touched on Atlanta AAU team showing love, saying Georgia can have its own circuit. 7 to 8 legit teams.
Facts. Big facts. We're gonna see this weekend. It's going down on the radar. The opening.
It is the opening. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Hey, Bryce got a little quiet over there now.
Oh yeah, Bryce, who you got? You got the Warner Robinson. No, you got Team Georgia Magic.
And then Hype Hawks, and then D Favors. Should I read you my roster off as well for those college coaches that are happening to be listening?
Hey, I mean,
Hey,
All right,
get it off, Bryce. Go ahead, bro.
let me pull out my notes real quick on my iPhone. Scroll down. All right, so this is who we got. 2021 point guard Chase Ballard. He was at Arabian Mountain. He's at Arabian Mountain. He was first team all region this year, I believe. We got 6'4".
Bryce. Before you name your roster, you got everybody ain't paid their fees, so you can't name the whole.
Now they have actually.
Okay.
This is the first time in history I got everybody deposit on time. But it took some work though. Look, listen, Madre was talking about infrastructure. Look, I'm crafting these text messages like, hey, I'm learning some things. But anyway, 6'4" combo guard going to TSF, Dayon James, 6'4", Creekview High School. His name is Umar Rashid. He's actually got a 4.5 GPA. I don't even know how that is possible.
You gotta have straight A's for a long time.
he took some AP classes.
And took a lot of AP classes. Yeah. I really like him though. We'll see how he does.
It's not bad.
Yeah. And Locke actually came out and saw his practice. My thing with the kid, and I'll keep going in a second, but my thing with these kids is they haven't played. I don't think they've played at the level of the 17U AAU yet. Now, some of these kids have played high-level high school basketball, played in state championship and stuff like that. But we know how competitive it is and how real it gets. AJ Burke, 5'10", point guard, Wheeler High School. We featured him on here a couple of shows ago. We got Perry Robinson, 6'7", forward. He's going to Central Point. Jens Ruckert, 6'4" combo guard. He'll be at South Cobb. Super athletic, super bouncy kid. Super athletic. If
skill set improving too. Skill set. His skill set improving every time.
Improved. If he really, his confidence has improved. If his confidence really, grows and he's able to like get that skill set down, this kid's gonna be scary. Makai Bessel, 6'5", Lanier High School. He actually transferred last year, didn't get to play, sat out.
That's the kid with the dread.
This is probably one of the hardest working dudes I've ever seen play, and I'm not even gassing it up. Like, this dude plays hard.
He's gonna make his name known the first half.
He plays hard, plays above the rim. He's one of them kids that's not gonna back down from a challenge. I'll leave it at that. And I got two more. I got three more possibly. Elijah Phillips, another Lanier kid, kind of reminds me if you can imagine Nate Robinson. He's 5'10", but he's super strong, built like a running back, but jumps out the gym. And then Taufiq Smith, 5'10" point guard from Huff's former school, Duluth High School. I don't think he played for you though. He might have been on JV or ninth grade by when you were there.
What's his name? What's his name?
Taufiq Smith.
I don't think he had transferred in after I left.
Yeah, he might have been there, but he's pretty good as well. Point guard, and then I have one more as well that I can't say because of Locke's reason, but he's a goodie too. He's a goodie. He's got Division I offers. So what I will say is, man.
I know what you're talking about.
Huh?
Why can't you say his name?
He ain't pay his fee.
Because we waiting for the Cash App check to go. I'm pretty sure.
Important questions, AAU questions, Bryce. I asked this question on Twitter, and nobody really answered it. Do we know that I'm considering that this is the start of the AAU season officially? Like we're out the gate as of this weekend.
I guess.
Yeah.
When does the AAU season end?
Oh,
School starts August the 4th.
Yeah, that's not long.
It might not, depending on if the NCAA ever decides what it's going to be. I know they came out and said the dead period is going through.
I mean, I've seen tournaments.
I heard it's not going to be a live period.
It's probably not going to be a live
period. I'm just saying, like,
I've seen tournaments going through August though.
Yeah, you can't give an answer right now.
I don't know.
From what I understand, Fulton County, Cobb County, Marietta schools, and Paulding County have all officially announced beginning of August we're back in school.
But they're gonna but Cobb County has an option to do online.
But I don't think that has anything to do with it though.
That has nothing to do with it. If like Huff said, I think it depends upon NCAA, but I think people are gonna still throw tournaments until at least through the month of August, up until September.
You only got tournaments in August.
In mid-August, yeah.
Battle Georgia.
Go back to what the NCAA had put out. And that one proposal they were thinking about doing had 2 live periods, like one in August, one in September. It had 2 high school periods, one in August, one in September, or maybe it was 2 in August, 2 in September.
No, you're right, Huff, it did.
But it also said, see, this is like people only paid attention to that part. They didn't pay attention to the part that said, number one, only 2 coaches could be out, which is different than having 4 out at a time. The other difference is that now if you get an open gym in the fall, you can have multiple schools at that open gym. If that proposal had went through, then they said they could be out at fall leagues. Now you're really changing the game. Because if you go by Georgia high school rules, I can't even coach a fall league team. But I'm expecting my kids to be there in front of college coaches.
That's what makes me ask the question, right? Because if college coaches can be out during fall league, then I expect high school coaches are gonna have fall league, which I would assume that they would want to start having practices before you put your kids out for fall league. If they're having practice and playing in fall league, how can we play AAU? It's a little confusing to me, right? And I think that's what we got to understand.
So I shouldn't get no flag if I have a freshman U open run again and I got college coaches there.
If that gets passed, I don't think it's.
What can they say?
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's going to depend on if it's a scholastic, non-scholastic event.
Yeah, your event would have to be.
What I was going to say, though, that game when we play Team Georgia Magic, it's probably at minimum 10 college basketball players in that game.
10 overall college basketball players or 10 Division I basketball players?
I can't say what level yet because I haven't seen.
It's over 10. It's over 10.
It's going to be over 10, like easily.
Team Georgia Magic has 6, 7.
Team Georgia Magic probably has 5 Division I kids by themselves.
Yeah, and then your team maybe.
My team.
Your entire team can play the next level. Honestly.
Yeah. So I mean, you're getting a huge bang for your buck in that first game, and I mean, like I said, I would say no lower than Division II on my team.
You think your guys may come out sluggish, even though they've been practicing, but they haven't played a real game?
I think everybody's going to, bro.
I think it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be some bad basketball early until everybody kind of gets.
I mean, I've had 2 practices going on 3, and I've been letting them, the first 2 I let them play pickup, and a lot of just try to get their legs back and just run. And then the next one before we play, I'll just go over some plays and stuff like that, and hopefully and try to emphasize that they got to pass the ball, they got to move the ball and play back. You know what I mean, to the best, because I mean it's not much we can do after 3 practices, but hope that they and hope they compete at the end of the day, and they compete and they do those things. I'm not gonna be mad at them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just happy that we get to be there for a day.
we had a lot planned for us this season. Like,
man,
I know we're 15. We had a lot planned. We had a system that we wanted to put in. We were practicing on a regular. We started practice early this year.
Practicing, he's getting it in. Yep.
We were really wanting to come out and show different, and that we're gonna schedule some stuff and probably go out, but it's gonna look a lot different. Like, it's gonna look bad.
I mean, coming off that live period that we had last year, I was like ready to go. I'm like, man,
we were gonna go
crazy.
So here's the crazy part: like, y'all getting a scrimmage and play game, and as a high school coach, bringing my team back in the gym, we can't scrimmage. We can't even do 2-on-2.
Can't do nothing.
That's what I don't like about all this, Coach.
Yeah, it's a lot of confusion. Yeah.
I don't know about his confusion. I think you got somebody that's being regulated in high school basketball. No disrespect to either one. And AAU is not being regulated, so they can do what they want to.
Should AAU basketball be regulated?
I don't know that it should be regulated, but I partially put the blame on the institutions, right? Like, I look at it like a hierarchy, right? And the longer and longer GHSA went to kick this thing down the road, same thing with the NCAA. We're kicking the can down the road by not making a decision. We never came out and made a decision on the NCAA never came out and made a decision on, yes, there's going to be live periods, here are the dates, or no, there will not.
Yeah.
All of these statements that we see coming out to dodge liability came first than making a decision to help the kid, or making a decision that would have helped the kids. Because to me, if you call the ball with the live periods, then GHSA knows how they have to move to let know how much time they're gonna have to give the high school coaches to get their teams ready for whatever live period high schools were gonna get. But no decision from the NCAA, still no definitive decision from GHSA on a game plan, right, Huff, for what they're gonna. You know what I mean? The NCAA announced their dates, but the
NCAA hasn't officially announced those dates. They haven't been approved. So you can't have a game plan unless you know what the NCAA is going to do.
Yeah, I think that the longer we kick the can down the road, it just left AAU in the decision to make the decision for themselves.
Well, let's keep it 100. If they stick to those dates they put out, then I can't speak on every state. I can only speak on Georgia because I know the rules in Georgia. Then there has to be some kind of rule change bylaw-wise to get basketball coaches to be able to practice with their teams during that time. Legally. Now, don't know what you can do illegally now, but.
So it's an odd thing. Real quick, we do have Coach Wade coming on. We're going to talk about the shot clock here in a second. But before we get to that, I want to talk about, or Huff, let's introduce something that we got going on right after this show, man. I'll go ahead and toss this over to you.
Man, I appreciate it, man.
Man, that's dope.
Rising Coaches is doing a social justice roundtable with coaches of all different levels, Division I, NAIA, D2, JUCO, NBA, and we're going to really have some real conversation because we don't want this stuff to stop, man. We don't want to lose the momentum of what's going on. I'm blessed to have been asked to be one of the co-moderators, along with my guy Brian Burton and Adam Gordon, who is over Rising Coaches. But you see, we've got people from the JUCO Advocate. We've got Richie Riley, head coach of Southern Alabama. We got Cody Tolbert, assistant at Memphis. So the list goes on about people that we have. But we're going to have some real discussions, some real questions, trying to dig into how we can really make change and impact change using the platform we have as coaches. So anybody, tune in. You can go on Twitter, get the link, tune in. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central for anybody out there. I think it's going to be a great conversation, so I appreciate it, Mondre.
No doubt, man.
I'm gonna have to get that link.
I got you.
I'm not even gonna lie though. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm a little tired of these Zoom calls. So I'm being very choosy about which ones I do.
Well, I think a lot of people are, Bryce, and that's why Rising Coaches wanted to do it, to make sure it had an impact. Like, don't just come out with another Zoom call just to we've got real questions that are going to be asked and answered by coaches. You're not going to be able to sugarcoat stuff on this Zoom call. Right? It's going to be real. And I think people are going to open up and be real about it.
No doubt. So let's talk about what got the city going right now. This made a lot more noise than what I expected it to make. I'm going to be honest. So, Huff, I'll let you bring it in. We're talking about the shot clock. Yeah. I'll let you bring it in. Locke, you sound like a robot again.
Plug your computer in. Go plug your computer in.
On Tuesday, there was a historic vote by the GHSA, and I'll get to the actual number of the vote. But that vote has caused the shot clock to be implemented in the state of Georgia. We become the 9th state to have the shot clock, 10th area, if you include the DMV. If you want to add to that, like for instance, California has had the shot clock since 1995. DMV has had it since the 2000s. And even South Dakota has the shot clock. So there are a lot of states that have the shot clock. This has not been something that just so happened on Tuesday. It's something that Coach Rory Welch developed a proposal over about 3 years ago to start doing it. He started gathering all the research to get it done, why it was beneficial to help the game of basketball, not just here in Georgia. But he thought it helps the game overall. If you look at the international game, they're playing with a shot clock at the age of 12. And so that was something that he thought about. And so he did all the work, the lead work. Even over 2 years ago or last year, there was a survey that went out to about almost 300 coaches to see if they wanted the shot clock. It was in response to it, I think every question on there had either almost 79% yes in favor of the shot clock. Even one question had a 90% in favor of the shot clock or some variation of it. So I think that was really big on how this got passed. I think people that don't understand the process that Rory had to go through. Even a year and a half ago, it didn't even get to the process of getting a vote at the executive committee as it was tabled because they said it wasn't going to pass. So he had to go back and do more research, whether it was research on the cost, research on how we were going to implement it in a 3-year phase, which was big on why it got implemented. And people don't understand that for Georgia, for the Georgia High School Association to vote yes to the shot clock proposal, it meant they have given up their seat at the table with the National Federation of High Schools, which means Georgia High School could no longer vote at the National Federation High School level because they decided to go along with the coaches of this state and say they agree with a shot clock. Now, there may be some that say we should not have a shot clock. Well, whether you say yes or no, there's a procedure that you have to go through. It starts with your region rep. Once the proposals start going, it was hit to the region reps. And so coaches could have reached out to their region rep or the region rep reached out to them, yay or nay. That region rep then sent information to the subcommittee on the basketball side of the Georgia high school. When I told you it didn't get passed before, it's because it didn't get out the subcommittee part. This year, it got out the subcommittee part and was able to get to the executive committee. There was 63 people that had to vote from across the state of Georgia. The vote passed 53-10. That doesn't matter whether you're from Atlanta or you're from Savannah. There were people from everywhere across the state. 53 people across the state of Georgia were in favor of the shot clock. If you didn't know about it until after it got passed, then maybe you're not involved of knowing what's going on in the game that you coach. And I'm just saying it frank that we as coaches, if you coach, whether you coach football, whether you coach basketball, you've got to be more involved in what's going on in your state. For instance, at this executive committee, there was also a track vote. Did you know there was not a 4x800 track relay race in Georgia until it got voted and approved on Tuesday? Or now that there are 2 dead weeks in Georgia, Memorial Day week and July 4th week. That got approved at this executive committee. But if you are not in the know, you don't know all these things are going on. And I know there are people who are upset. They think maybe it wasn't a good thing, but they had the opportunity to write a proposal themselves of why it would not work. They had the opportunity to voice their opinion at the meeting as Rory put the proposal up and people were able to speak for the proposal. They could have voiced their opinion of why it shouldn't happen. There were people in the Atlanta area who are on the executive committee that voted against the shot clock in Henry County and Cherokee County and some other counties. So this is not an Atlanta thing. To me, I can only speak for me. To me, this is a game of basketball thing. And we had some prominent people that spoke who kind of said something about leadership and building our kids to make sure they're ready for change. That's what you do in basketball. You hopefully are preparing kids to be ready for change. Well, this is change. It's our job as coaches to prepare kids, if they can play at the next level, to be ready for that. And I know Bryce is going to love this statement. I mean, Coach talked about the DMV has the most pros and college-ready players. Well, they've had this shot clock for a minute.
That WCAC shot clock, that ain't no joke. Get you right.
But I think people are misinterpreting that. This past year, which was part of the reason why the vote got passed, there was 77 games this year in Georgia high school at different tournaments that used the shot clock.
Yeah,
77. Not to mention that there have been summer league shot clock leagues at Pace, at Miller Grove, even in Columbus, Georgia, with Corey Black.
So is it an issue that the coaches that don't want it are not going to be able to adapt their coaching styles to it?
I think we have great coaches across the state, to be honest with you. I know Coach Wade coming on is not coaching right now, but the dude has been a college coach, a head college coach. He's been a head high school coach. I have no doubt he's done it before. He can coach with a shot clock. I think maybe some of the drawback is the cost, which Rory put in there. The cost is between $2,500 to $3,000, but you don't have to get that cost right now. You don't have to have it until year 3. That was part of the reason why the vote got passed, because it wasn't like, well, this year you got to have a shot clock. And I think some of the things that are being discussed on Twitter and wherever else, I think maybe some people, there should have been some discussion earlier if they were against it and why. But I think there were some good things that came out of it. Some people think it's going to create one-on-one basketball, Bryce and Locke.
We already got that, so that's not a big deal.
But in reality, will it not produce more ball movement?
It should, yeah. Quicker, faster ball movement. Yeah, because you got 30 seconds. You got 20.
I mean, I look at my game versus St. Francis in the league. It was now 6 under 3 minutes to play. They can't hold a ball anymore. They just can't, because they have a shot clock, and we may have a chance to win that game now.
So what happens if you have crosstown rivalry schools one school typically gets more talent than the other school, but they got to play each other. But the scores are like outrageous. 130 to 65.
Let's before we go, we're right up against the 8:30 timeline. So we want to make sure that we bring on Coach Wade as we start talking about what the pros and cons of this. So Coach Wade is somebody that has college coaching experience, as you do, Huff, has coached high school, won a state championship, and has a lot of respect in the coaching circles. Also an AD, so that's going to be something, an interesting perspective when we talk about the process. And is the process working for everybody? Could it be improved? How could it be improved? So let's bring on Coach Wade.
Lot, you got to call in from your cell phone.
Yeah, Lock, this connection horrible, bro. You got it. Coach Wade, how you doing, my man? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How's it going?
What's up, Coach?
We just
good to be here.
Just led into this with Coach Huff kind of walking us through the existing process of how the shot clock came to be. So you came out, had a lot of interesting things to say in regarding the shot clock. The first question, though, that I wanted to ask you is there something flawed about the process itself that we may not understand?
No. You mean the process of getting it approved?
Correct.
No, I think the process. Well, I think that's a two-part question. The process on the committee and the guys that were really pushing it, I think they did a miraculous job, to be quite honest, of getting their ducks in a row, getting the people behind them, getting Tom Crean to come speak, those kinds of things. I think that process was unbelievable for something in basketball that basketball group wanted to get that much attention and to get pushed through. I think those guys did a great job. The problem I had is I don't know how many people in the entire state, especially in South Georgia and some of the smaller schools, were a part of that process. So I think it's two things. I think, Rory and Huff and the guys, what they did and the plan they put together and the way they presented it was phenomenal. But I don't think that they I don't know this, but from the calls and the texts I've got, I don't know that the people in South Georgia necessarily were a part of that process, and it may be their fault. It may not be. I don't know whose fault that is, but that was my only concern with the process is who all was involved, what questions were asked, was there any any cons brought up and concerns for teams in South Georgia who play the game under vastly different circumstances than the teams in the Atlanta area. And to be quite honest, the group of guys that were pushing it, they play a different game than we do in the South. And I don't mean on the floor. And so I think that is the only issue I had with the process itself.
So when we say that South Georgia's playing under different conditions, we kind of talked about that. Locke talked about it a little bit, but explain what you mean for people who are listening. Like, what does that mean?
Well, I think for one thing, the talent pool, obviously in the metro area, just for sheer numbers, is better. I think another thing you have to consider is teams up there are allowed to or able to, get guys in that they want to get in, or they have people helping them get guys in. And for the most part, that doesn't happen in the South. I mean, we played several teams where the majority of the players weren't from that district. So one of my biggest arguments is not against the shot clock. Like Huff said, I've coached over 200 games with a shot clock. I'm not scared to coach with a shot clock. Matter of fact, I would welcome it under different circumstances. If I'm coaching Jesse's team or Rory's team or one of those guys up there, I want a 20-second shot clock, not 30. But I don't have those guys. So I think you got to take into consideration the entire state, all of the kids that play basketball and are we giving them all the best experience possible? See, I knew who think with a shot clock on this panel that the 2019 team that we had that went to the Final Four would have made it there with a shot clock. Does anybody think they would have made it with a shot clock? No, they wouldn't have. I coached them. Okay, so my point is that would have stripped those guys from going to a Final Four. And that's the concern. I don't know. I'm not saying the shot clock is bad for the game. I'm not saying we shouldn't have one. What I'm saying is we should consider all of the athletes that play the game and what's best for all of them, because they all don't get the same. All the coaches in the state don't coach under the same circumstances as guys do in the metro area.
Is that the consensus view in South Georgia? Are these guys upset with the region reps that voted for the shot clock?
Well, I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I don't know how many of them even got that information from their region reps. South Georgia is a predominantly football town or area, as we know. So when some of those things come across the desk, they don't get to us. I know. I've been a coach in South Georgia. I was at Americas when I started my career, and at Tifton later on in my career as a high school. So a lot of that information doesn't even get to us. So I think, and I posed this question to several guys, even when Huff and them were putting together the deal in the summer for the coaches is let's get area reps. Let's get a guy in South Georgia that your responsibility, whether it's me or whoever, is to make sure those guys know. If they don't know, it's on you. If they know and don't do nothing, it's on them. Get Corey Black in that area. Corey, you're responsible for those guys. If they don't know, it's on you. If they don't and don't do nothing, it's on them. So I don't know that everybody's getting all the information necessary to be able, like Huff was saying earlier, if you have a disagreement, voice it. I don't know that they knew they had a disagreement because, I don't know they knew it was coming on them, quite this fast. I know this. I have two former players that are ADs. Neither one of them knew that all this was going down the pipe this fast.
Coach Wade, I got two questions for you. Number one, do you think that's the problem of leadership, that maybe they're not in tune with what's going on? And number two, answer number one first, and I'll try to word number two better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's people whose responsibility is to pass that information on to their, coaches or region reps or whoever the case may be. And to be quite honest, there are coaches out there, not only in the South, that get that stuff and could care less. I mean, you know what I mean? They're just going to draw their check and show up every day and do what they do. So I think it's twofold. But, yeah, if the guys aren't getting the information from the top, then that's definitely a leadership issue, and maybe that needs to be addressed.
And I say that because I remember when we did the team camp, and obviously you and I talked, but when the GHSA did the team camp, they sent the information to the AD via email.
Right.
And there were coaches that said, I never got that information from the AD. And so that's kind of why I asked the question, is that a leadership problem? Because like I know Lenny Williams was part of it, and obviously he's in Savannah, but that doesn't mean he contacted everybody down there because it's tough. And I think we have to figure out a way where there's not this Atlanta versus South Georgia, if that makes sense. Like, I think, because they're great coaches everywhere.
Yeah.
My question is, Coach, and on top of what Coach Huff said, this feels eerily similar to the announcement for the GHSA team camps. Like, it seemed like that there was a lot of guys saying that, hey, we didn't know, we're unaware, now we can't register. It was even like accusations of, man, y'all just let y'all friends register and nobody else could. Like, how do we improve?
They was on Huff head.
How do we improve that though? Coach? Like that seems like a legitimate problem in all of this, that there's a communication gap somehow.
Yeah, there is. I think one thing that I suggested to, on Twitter, I suggested to people, Huff and those guys, when we went through that process, and I think that's what you do. You find somebody, in different pockets of the state that really care about the game and care about the kids, and say, hey, man, we need you to come up to Atlanta and sit in on these meetings like I did for the thing. We need you to make sure this information gets passed, to your programs. Because here's the bottom line. There's several basketball programs in the South that really could care less about the information. But the people in the South, like if you send me information, I'm going to know everybody in the South, like who's going to want it, who's going to do something with it, that type of thing. And I think there's guys in all areas of the state that have that same knowledge of their area. I don't have that knowledge of Savannah area. I don't have that knowledge of Columbus. So for me, or to be quite frank, anybody in metro area, you don't have the knowledge of, who the coaches are in the South that care and can get information out and get things processed and handled the right way.
Hey, Huff, we got a great question in here from Kawasi. I'm going to put this up and ask, were girls head basketball coaches considered in the process for the shot clock?
So during that process, obviously I just played a small part. I didn't play. It was Coach Welch's proposal. But part of that proposal was the survey that went out a year and a half ago that asked about people that wanted the shot clock. Now, Coach Wade, I don't know who got that survey and who didn't.
Right.
I know after the fact, there have been girls coaches that are very much for it. They love it. But there are also some girls coaches who are kind of in the middle, and there are some that are against it.
Just a great comment. So it sounds like there were some girls head coaches that were in the mix.
Yeah,
Sean Thompson is saying that my AD called me and asked me for my thoughts before he reported to the region rep, and I'm the head coach of the women's team.
And he's at Carrollton. And the next comment by James Williams is good. About region rep set down by the members of the GHSA.
Okay.
I think maybe part of this, how you change it, is that, and we've talked about this a lot, and Coach Wade, I think maybe we had a conversation. Part of maybe the problem we have in the state, like if you go to North Carolina, they have a real coaches association for basketball. That I think if you had that in Georgia, you don't have this happen where people don't know what's going on because there's a real coaching association. I think in football, you don't get it because they're more connected for whatever reason. I think some issues some people in South Georgia say about budgeting, well, that's the same issues for some schools in inner city in Atlanta. They're going to have the same issues about budgeting that they won't get it to year 3. So I think those issues can go both ways. But I think when they were doing a proposal, when Rory started this proposal, he thought it was a way to grow basketball in our state. And, I mean, I guess we got another coach, Lincoln County, that says his AD talked to him.
I can kind of see what Coach Wade's perspective is, though. If I have horses every year, I mean, it takes away an aspect of my strategy for coaching. In that regard, that if I know I got horses every year, I know I have athletes. I got dudes that can run and jump. I want a shot clock because I want to keep the game up.
So that's the question that I did want to ask from a strategic standpoint, because I've kind of gone back and forth on that. I would love to understand y'all perspective. I want to know, like, how many teams are really running offense longer than 30 seconds of possession, and how successful that is. Because I really feel like if it's an uneven matchup, that trying to do that, eventually you're going to turn it over. Like, now, stalling is one thing. Like, you're playing 4 corners or something like that. That's something totally different. But, like, actually running something to try to score, like, is that happening?
Well, I think in from my perspective, we never really played stall ball per se. But if we got leads late, we're not just going to take a shot just to be taking a shot. I mean, that's just retarded because most of the time we weren't the most talented team on the floor. So when we got leads late, we try to either make them foul us or get an easy shot. I go back to the Meadow Creek game. We probably should have played stall ball. That we would have still gotten blown out. But the bottom line is, as a coach, your job is to put your kids in the best opportunity to win. Your
Right.
job's not to entertain media. Your job's not to entertain the fans. Your job is to put the guys that are looking at you for leadership in the best position to win. So we got to open the tip against Meadow Creek. We should have went 4 corners and made them come get us because they were so good defensively, so superior athletically. We couldn't run anything. I mean, we were just beating our head against the wall trying to run offense against a team that good defensively, that well coached, and that athletic. So our only prayer would have been to hold it at half court, spread them out, hopefully frustrate them, and maybe we turn it into an ugly game and we got a chance. But we didn't do that, and that's on me. I didn't give my team the best chance to win, and obviously we get beat by 40. So that's my only argument. I think you take away, like Bryce said, you take away just the hope that some teams have. You know what I mean? It's not that it's going to change. I mean, eventually the better team, for the most part, is going to win. But if you got, if you're going into a situation.
We got to get Coach back.
I'll add.
He was on the road. That was good stuff.
This was kind of my thing. I was gonna say. I watched Virginia play, and I don't think Virginia gets all the best guys, but they control the tempo even with a shot clock through their defense. And I just think I definitely agree with Coach Wade is saying. I think we just got to keep changing. I mean, now, it's going to have to figure out late in the game instead of just pulling the ball out. What are you going to do? What's the good shot? Teaching your kids what's the good and the bad shot in the shot clock. What do you have late in the shot clock possession to get you a good bucket, a good look?
But here's the thing, Huff. That in the college game, you've been in it. There's not the disparity of talent that there is, in the high school game. It's just not there. So that 30 seconds, a team can still do some things in that 30-second offensively and defensively to even the playing field because the talent is not that much different. I mean, if you put a I don't want to call any names, but if you put one of the super teams in Atlanta up against just a normal high school team with a shot clock, they're gonna get their brains beat in. They ain't got a chance because the talent disparity is so vast. In college game, from mid-major to high major, it ain't a whole lot of difference. And the coaching aspect of it off the floor with skill development, all that is even, it even evens the playing field more. So, I'm not against the shot clock, and I never have been, and it got misconstrued. Everything got personal on Twitter, but it's not being against it. I could care less one way or another. I just don't know that we're doing the right thing by all the players and coaches that have to coach under the shot clock. And, that's one of my concerns. And the other one was, the rationale for it. I don't think we were completely honest with, what the benefits of it are. And that was my only 2 points that kind of got blown out of whack there.
I mean, I see what Coach Wade is saying about the talent, and I think like for other leagues across the country, it works for them because you have those equal level private schools, for example. Like if I have Gonzaga, DeMatha, Bishop McNamara, O'Connell, all those dudes can get the same level of caliber of kid. They can all compete at the same level. Like the playing field is pretty much it's pretty even.
But Bryce, California's had it since 1995. We got a level playing field all over California. I'm just giving back.
Nah, it's true. I mean, I am for it. I just see that what he's saying, that there are schools that are gonna, like the people in that picture. It was you, Larry, Langston, Rory, Jesse. Like, we know what those guys are gonna have every year.
I went under 5.
I don't think we know what Rory is going to have every year.
Okay, we know that
I think Rory's getting lumped into that when I don't think Rory knows what Rory is going to have from year in to year.
He's usually pretty good. And they're well coached. Don't get me wrong, they're well coached, but they usually have enough talent. More than
that's what I was about to say. I think.
But here's the thing. So we talking about talent. I've had at Duluth. I had 2 Division I players out of 3 years. 2.
Right.
And I played the same Meadow Creek team that Coach Wade played that same year. Like, so I don't think
you're in a murderous region, Huff.
I know. I just think
you're in a murderous region.
I think
All
you
right,
just
y'all at Peachtree Ridge,
Mountain View,
Mountain View, Norcross,
Allenfield, North Gwinnett. Like,
yo, that's wild. I think it is something to be said, right? The whole reason why we're here and why we all do this is to try to do right by the kids that play the game. So when we start talking about, hey, maybe we didn't do the right thing by the kids that play the game, it always gives me cause to pause a little bit, right? Like we gotta kind of listen to that. We turn it over more if we try to stall. All of my teams always have. I can't claim to be as good of a coach as anybody on this panel, though. that could be user error on my part. But yeah, my kids have turned it over a whole lot more whenever I try to stall too.
See, I think people have misconstrued stalling. Like it, and I go back to 17. We don't win the state championship probably in 17 with a shot clock, and it wasn't because we played stall ball. It's because we didn't take bad shots when we didn't have to, because the other team was better than us. I mean, you go down against Newton and be careless and just jack up stupid ass shots, they're going to be dunking it on the other end. You know, we couldn't do that. And there were several possessions in that game. Norcross in the finals. Norcross played a 3-2 zone. We could do absolutely nothing. We had no answer for it. So we just said, all right, well, you're not going to play a 3-2 zone, and we're just going to stand here. And we don't apologize for that, because we played that within the rules. Now, did the fans like it? Did Hillsman and all them guys like it? I don't really give a shit, because we did what was best for our guys.
And now, Coach,
you built different in South Georgia.
You speaking to my love language now, Coach, because I hate zone. Right. I hate zone. If we're gonna put a shot clock, I would love to see us get rid of zone too. But
here's the other argument I had. Number one, shot clock is going to produce more zones, not less.
Right.
All right. That's number one. It's going to produce more zones and not less zones, because now those guys can sit in that zone for 25 seconds when you can do nothing, and you just throw up a shot because you have no other option. So it's not going to produce more man-to-man, which the argument is we're trying to get them ready for college. Well, that's not going to get them ready for college, because unless they're going to Syracuse, they're not playing the zone. So that's not getting them ready for college. And I just think some of the and like I said, they did a great job, and they had a great plan. But I think some of the reasoning behind what a shot clock does just wasn't factual. I mean, a lot of it's just not true. And that was my initial. That's how I got involved in this, because I don't even coach basketball right now. So, I don't really have a say-so, and I probably should have kept my mouth shut. But, my initial involvement was the reasons y'all are saying we need a shot clock aren't reasons for a shot clock.
Good point. I want to ask this question. Do we think that the shot clock being added to GHSA increases the turnover rate? Do we think it causes more turnovers?
I don't think so, but what I will say is I think the shot percentages are going to be something to see. I mean, like a kid might have been able to go 5 for 10. He might be 5 for 15, 16 now. I mean, I think the percentages are going to change for sure. I don't know if turnovers. Not sure.
Well, if you don't have good guards, the turnover rate
it's going to give you turn the ball over regardless, I think. But I think that shot clock with kids, and that's another thing. Teaching and coaching kids to work with the shot clock is going to be something in itself. So we already have issues sometimes with getting kids to move the ball. So, I mean, they're going to see that shot clock going down to under 10, and they're going to launch it.
Well, I think, has anybody thought about this? And I'm not taking credit for it, because I saw it on somebody texted to me, one of my buddies in college coaching, is do you think it might slow the game down? Or now our coach is going to coach to the shot clock and be cognizant of what time's on the shot clock. And could it actually slow it down as opposed to speed it up? Because now people are aware of the shot clock. When before we're just going down. My whole thing was I don't know how many high school games I've seen where guys haven't taken a shot within 15 seconds. I mean, there's not many.
Not many.
And, unless you get to the, some of the upper level games with guys that are, coached up and concerned about shot selection and that kind of stuff. But, I think some guys will try to overcoach the shot clock, and it may actually slow the game down.
People are definitely going to overcoach the shot clock, and they're going to practice with the intentions of giving their kids 15, 16 seconds in their mind. This is how long you have to shoot. Or that do stuff like all kind of stuff like that. I mean, which I guess you kind of have to.
I know for guys that aren't running a lot of offense, I feel like it's gonna force you to have some sets. So now that when it gets late in the shot clock, you're gonna have to have some quick hitters or something to go to throughout the season instead of letting guys play so much. Maybe
that's a good point.
Well, let me ask y'all this. All right, so right now we're assuming that most guys that care about the game and coach their team hard, they have end of quarter, end of half, end of game situational sets, right?
You would think, Coach, but I don't know.
Well,
not watching the games, I don't know.
All right, so
I agree.
But for us, that's what we're gonna run it in the shot clock. It ain't gonna change nothing. We're just going to run those sets in the shot clock. Now, everybody's talking about the 2-for-1. Well, that might come up a few times a game, maybe. But maybe. When is it going to be a factor in the game? Probably never. So, the arguments for a shot clock, it's like my grandfather used to tell me, don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. I mean, that just ain't going to fly.
That's some country shit.
Right. Hey, by the way, y'all probably don't know, I'm from Forest Park, so I don't know where y'all from. I know Medlock. I'm more Atlanta probably than all y'all up there. So
yeah, definitely more Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Mondre,
so
Mondre is
let's
from.
Get, I should have said that off the rip. So.
Yeah, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so I definitely don't have a dog in this fight. I love to see it. I know the games that I've watched with the shot clock were played very well. That could be, based on who's coaching in those games. It could be the teams that were playing in those games. But we definitely wanted to hear about some things that maybe we were looking over. One thing I can't help but to skip, Coach, is guys, man, you talk about some of that stuff that blew up on Twitter and all of that. like, I don't know that we can say that you can't do it anymore, Coach. That kind of felt like, like, hold on, man. I understand the disagreement, but I don't know that the coach can't get it done no more.
Right. Well, that was just a guy. Well, and not just disrespect. I think it's more just ignorance. I mean, he just obviously don't know. He didn't take his time to say, all right, well, who is this guy? What has he done? He's just shooting off at the mouth, being a bully with a keyboard. And that's why I just let him pop off, because everybody that knows is laughing at him. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't no it wasn't no skin off my back. I was laughing at it. I mean, we know the guys that know the game and know me, they know all that was a bunch of bullshit. So I just let him run off in the mouth and make an ass out of himself. So that's all it was to that.
So, Coach, I got to talk about this, though, because you mentioned that there are guys in high school that are playing a different game.
Right.
Man, let's get into that, man. Please explain for the people who may not understand, because I feel like we all talk around this topic a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Let's have a conversation. What is it exactly that
all right. So my second point, which I think is what really got everybody pissed off, was if we're going to implement a shot clock, that's fine. But we also need to address the obvious transfers and people being placed in certain places. I mean, you got AAU teams with Stackhouse going to Meadow Creek. You got Quavo going to Berkmar. I mean, you got the little guy, Shepard or whatever, that tried to go off on me. He took two guys to Wheeler. I mean, it's It's there. We all know it's there. So if we're gonna implement a shot clock, then we also need to police some of that stuff. So then the talent disparity isn't so much, right? Then everybody's playing with their own guys, and the playing field's a little level. I mean, we played. There's been a lot of times where we played teams that nobody on the floor was from that school, and that's a little disheartening when you look across there and you know that hell, these guys don't even go to school there. And now on top of that, they're going to slap you in the face and say, all right, now you got to play all these transfers, but you also got to play at their pace. No, that ain't right. I personally know a guy. We got a big group chat, and I won't mention any names, but he had a D1 player. He lost 2 D1 players to other schools. And had he had all 3 of those, he probably would have played. Well, let me back up. The year he lost those 2, I think he went to the Elite 8. All right. So had he had those 2, he may have won a state championship. Now, hell, we hadn't even talked about the fact his job's on the line, right? So there's more that goes into it than just a shot clock and not a shot clock. So, and look, I don't begrudge those guys for doing what they do. They're allowed to do it. All right. If a 5-star guy enrolls at Tift County, shit, I'm gonna coach him. I ain't gonna tell him no, you can't come here because it ain't right. But having said that, I think if we're gonna make these changes to benefit the game, then we need to make more than just a shot clock issue.
So, Coach, I want to get on that before we go. For the guys that, and you mentioned this earlier when talking about guys that, hey, this is a football school. I really don't care about basketball like that. And don't stay in tune with what's going on, or there are certain basketball programs that we all know don't have the same support all over.
Right.
For those kids that are paying the price for that, should they not be? Do you feel like they should not be able to transfer to a better situation that fits their goals?
No, I don't think you can ever. Here's what I think. I think it's a parent decision. I don't think you can ever tell a parent what to do with their child. I have 2 kids, and my daughter's about to start at Lyons High School next year. If it's not the best situation for her, I'm going to take care of my kid. That's on me. Now, the policing of it, that's on the GHSA, right? So it's two different things. If a parent wants to give their child the best situation possible, then that's the parent's job. The GHSA job is to decide, hey, is this legit or not? Now, I don't think any of us think when Stackhouse Elite went to Meadow Creek, those were parent decisions. I think that was a grown-up decision between people, right? Do we agree on that?
Probably.
All right, so that's what I'm talking. It's 2 different things. If I got a kid that's playing, just say I'll just use Lyons because it's a big-time football school, and they're not working out in basketball in the summer, and they're not going to camps, and they're not doing this and they're not doing that. He's solely a basketball guy. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get him to Tift County. That's my job as a parent. But Georgia High School has a job and a responsibility to police that and make sure it's above board. I don't have a problem. I'll give you an example this year. We had a kid at Turner County. She had some issues in Tift County, and she was moving in from her biological mama to her biological daddy. We provided all the information as far as grades, discipline records, and why she was moving, and they denied it. All right, so I go to a hardship meeting in Georgia High School. I tell them all the information, everything. They deny her hardship. She wasn't moving for basketball. She was moving for personal reasons. Her parents made her move from Tift to Turner. She didn't have an option. She didn't want to leave. All right, but this kid gets denied. But we've got, a whole influx of guys. I mean, hell, used to. I think Georgia High School stopped because they finally figured out what was going on. But Locke's boy, Kyle Sandy, used to post a transfer list on the website.
Locke, is that still your friend?
Man,
Oh, that's his homie. You already know.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem
Kyle
with
Sandy
that.
I'm cool with
Kyle Sandy
Kyle
did it
too.
right up on Locke.
Yeah, Kyle works his ass off now, whether you like him or not. But he used to post a transfer list on the GHSA website. Now, come on now, we're just slapping guys in the face when that's happening.
So what should the rules for transfers be? What should be considered above board versus what is something else?
Well, I don't think the rules in place are necessarily bad. I just don't think I don't think Georgia high school has the manpower to enforce them. You know, for example, if we're trying to get a kid eligible that's moved in, basically, what the AD has to do is submit the paperwork, and then there's a spot on there that says either provide electric bill, power bill, or give us the name of the person that's going to do the home visit. Well, hell, okay, I'm doing the home visit. All right, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. Now, if somebody complains, then Georgia high school will do a little more investigation into it. But I don't think the rules are necessarily that bad. I just think that Georgia high school doesn't have the manpower to check back on, you know, are people really living? Did the family really move? You know, or are we just setting up an address and kids going to school? I know what they do in Texas now because we had a kid from Turner go out to Texas. They if it's out of state, it's a whole bunch of paperwork has to be filled out, but in state in Texas, no matter what the situation, you have to sit out a year. And I don't know that I agree with that either, but I think whatever the rule, here's what I think about rules. If you have a rule, you need to enforce it. Otherwise, don't have the rules. And I think right now we're getting, a lot of coaches are getting slapped in the face, by rules that aren't being enforced.
Coach, do you think it's good for basketball if we do what other major areas have done, the Chicago's, New York's, DC's, where there is a league within a league, where transferring and recruiting in DC right now, where they get celebrated for having the most NBA players, having the best college talent? Should we copy that model and have a league where it's open and fair to recruit middle school kids to come into your program?
Right.
Does that solve the problem?
I think that would probably help, but I'd have to see more about how they go about it. But I think if you did that, you would give teams that don't have that ability a chance to be successful. I mean, right now, let's just be honest. In the highest classifications in the state, or probably the top 3 classifications in the state of Georgia, how many teams even have a prayer winning a state championship in basketball? I mean, just be honest, they don't. And the reason is they don't. There at some point there's going to be, a team in the metro area, whatever classification it is, that's just happened to get the right set of guys that year, and no team from the South is going to beat them. So that ain't a bad idea. I'd have to look before I had an opinion on it. Maybe look at how they structure it, how they decide what schools it is, and again, you're still plucking players from other programs and other coaches whose livelihood depends on winning, even with that model. So I don't know. It's a tough deal to figure out, to be quite honest.
That so how is it that there was so much talent in Dougherty County? Like, is that something that just happened by chance? Because they went on a run. We've seen teams, Westside Macon, we've seen teams, or Southwest Macon, sorry, we've seen teams
Right.
that have runs of lasting dominance. We don't think it today.
Not in the South, because you got to figure when Dougherty was doing that, Dougherty County was doing that, Savannah was doing that. There were 4 classifications, and now with the population, it's just a numbers game. I mean, the population of Metro Atlanta then and now is vastly different, and Albany still produces great players, and I think at one time, Locke would know, but at one time they were ranked like the #1 city in the nation behind New York. for basketball.
Mhm.
I don't remember what year it was, Wingfield back in that era.
93,
Yeah,
92.
I mean, USA Today ranked them the number 2 city in the nation for basketball. So, I think you have those areas. Mitchell Baker, they had it. Randolph Clay, they had it. I mean, those teams back then, they could play with anybody in any part of the state. I just think now, the teams in Atlanta are just so dominant, with a population of people to pull from, that I don't know that you'll see that from a team in the South anymore. Not in a bigger classification.
Like this question here. Would we have this convoluted conversation if the student wanted to go to school with a fancy library or science lab? I don't think so. I don't think. And to me, and I'm gonna be honest, coach, and maybe I'm misunderstanding because I didn't coach at that level and you did. But I feel like that this happens way more in football than it does in basketball. But basketball, to me, takes the brunt of the transfer negativity talk.
I don't know if that's true. I think it happens more because there's a bigger roster to fill in football. But I would disagree with the basketball takes the brunt of it because, we down here in the South especially, we raise, our guys raise a lot of hell about, some things that go on down here with different programs. And I don't know if they do in the metro area. Maybe they don't care. But, you take a Grayson up there, Marietta. I mean, they basically had whole teams move in and win state championships in football. And it was, I think Grayson ended up getting some trouble, for that championship they won, where I think the quarterback won a state championship and then went back to Newton to graduate or something like that. I mean,
I remember that.
So I don't know that. So I don't know
taking
that
some heat,
basketball gets the.
Marietta has some heat, yeah.
Yeah, so I just think with football there's a bigger roster to fill, so there's probably, obviously more opportunity for people to move around.
Coach, I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. Good discussion around it.
Yeah,
I think it was a necessary discussion. And we're going to have to sink back because I think we have to figure out how to solve this issue. Like, I feel like for me, I'm a short timer, but second time hearing this happening, right, when there's a major GHSA announcement and a lot of, of South Georgia, Savannah, those places feeling like that they want to included or involved. Yeah. So we got to fit. There's obviously a communication gap or some sort of gap somewhere that we need to figure out how to fix.
I agree, and I think there's enough guys in the South that would be willing to help if asked. I think sometimes Huff and them guys in that little group that do what they do a great job, and they don't not that they won't help, but I think they're so good at what they do that maybe think, well, we got this and we know what's best, and I think maybe some guys in the South could help them. Probably ease the some of the friction of what goes on when those decisions are made. Because if it were me, I could go back and say, hey guys, this is what it is. We're having a shot clock. Here's what you need to do to start preparing for it. And so forth. And right now they don't really have that voice. So I think that's a discussion that needs to be had somewhere at some time about what you said. And this is two really big issues that we've missed the ball on.
Yep.
Hey man, I'm glad you came and represented the South. And
that's what we do.
Yes, sir.
That's what we do. Y'all give Shafu or whatever Mark my love, okay? Next time y'all see him.
Oh man.
I'm sure I got a text message on my phone right now. But no, Coach, appreciate it. We gotta, to me, I think it's important. We disagree. We gotta voice it.
That's right.
We gotta talk it through, and we gotta figure it out. I don't want the next vote that comes out. I don't know if it's once a year or whatever, but I don't want it to be this time next year and something else gets released and a bunch of guys in South Georgia are saying, hey, we didn't know, we weren't alerted. Like, if those are a region rep issue and they're not doing their job, we got to get new reps in there. We got to get those guys out because obviously somebody somewhere is not being effective at their job. We got to figure it out and fix it.
That's right.
Hey, man, this is the Love of the Game podcast, man. We gave y'all over 2 hours today.
Yes, sir. Good
Yeah,
show,
man.
man. My man, wait, I gotta come home, man. Gotta come kick it with you.
Come on, I'll be here.
You going to Maryland's, right? You know where we eating at.
Oh yeah, always.
Hey, man, I appreciate all the Love of the Game Army, man. Love you guys sticking it in with us. Great conversation, great questions, great feedback. And we'll be back Sunday at 5 p.m. We'll be back with a special guest Sunday at 5. So Love of the Game podcast, man. Y'all be good.